So go ahead and roll the shoulders back and down, sitting up nice and tall. And take some big, deep breaths here. Once you've taken a few deep breaths, you can close the eyes if they're not closed already, or bring the gaze down. Consciously melting the shoulders down away from the ears. And then start to notice where your torso is in relation to your legs. You want the torso to be right over the hips, and it's easy to bring the hips forward or tilt the pelvis forward. So just see if you can come back a little bit, allowing those shoulder blades to really slide down the back. And from here, start to check in with the body. Observe your energy level. And then take a scan of your body from the crown of the head through the feet, looking for areas that may be holding tension, may require some modifications, and just keeping those things in mind as you go through the practice. And take a few more breaths here to set your intention. What is your goal for the next 45 minutes? How will you approach the rest of your evening? Take a couple more breaths here. You can keep the gaze down or the eyes closed, or you can blink the eyes open. Trying to lengthen the neck, and then drop the chin towards the chest as you lift chest towards chin. Letting the head be a little heavy. Releasing tension in the back of the neck and the shoulders. Inhale to bring the chin through center, lifting it up towards the ceiling, opening up the front of the neck. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, bring the head back to center. We're going to tuck the chin again. This time we're going to sweep the chin towards that left shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, tuck the chin, sweep it towards the right shoulder. Starting to alternate left to right. Just going to that point of sensation. Starting to get a little bit more neck stretch here. A little more circulation in the neck. Maybe moving the neck in a way it hasn't been moved today. One more time to the left, one more time to the right, and then bring the head back to center. Lift that chin towards the ceiling. And then again, we're going to bring the chin towards the left, bring it through center and towards the right. Tilting the head back just a little bit, making sure it feels okay on the back of the neck, especially where it connects to the spinal column. Couple more times, side to side. And then come back to a center position with the head. We're going to sweep the arms way up, reaching those fingertips, alternating side to side, reaching them up, stretching the opposite side of the torso as if you were climbing a ladder. Couple more times here. And then even out the hands, reaching them towards the ceiling. Big inhale here. Exhale, palms come together. Drop the palms over the crown of the head. Keeping that spine nice and tall. Inhale to bring those palms back overhead. And on the exhale, plant the hands on top of the shoulders, few elbow circles out to the side in one direction and in the other direction. Coming back to that center position, arms come back towards the ceiling. Inhale here, exhale to twist to the right. Inhale to center and twist to the left. We'll start doing these twists dynamically, starting to warm up the spine, going with the rhythm of your own breath. One more time to each side. And then we'll meet back with the arms at that center position, slowly reaching them out in front of you. Interlace the fingers, flip the palms away from you, rounding the upper back. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the hands. Go ahead and kind of wiggle the fingers. And then bring the hands on top of the knees and wrap the fingers around the knees. From here, we're going to do a few seated cat-cows. Think about drawing that navel towards the spine. You can round the upper back. Navel comes towards spine, chin comes towards chest. Inhale as you come through center, drawing shoulder blades towards each other. Starting to alternate between spreading the shoulder blades apart, navel coming towards spine, bringing the chest forward, shoulder blades come towards each other. One more cat, one more cow, and then we'll meet back in a neutral seated position. And then if you have a block, go ahead and grab your block or your book. And we're going to bring the feet out in front of us and put the block on its most narrow setting between the feet. So I have my block lengthwise, and I'm resting the soles of my feet onto the block, bringing my knees wide. And I'm just finding a comfortable position to try and open the inner legs. And I'm gently putting pressure on the block to start to activate the inner legs. And the reason we're activating the inner legs is we're going to do some squat mobility this evening and kind of the prep for doing squats. And putting pressure on the block is going to start activating that because you need inner leg flexibility to do a squat. You need external rotation in the hips, which we're also getting a little bit of here. And then you need the dorsiflexion in the feet and the ankles. So that's the motion that points and flexes the foot. So we're getting all those things right now. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the legs and turn the block so that it's on its wider setting. We'll come back to the feet, squeezing that block gently, getting a little bit more activation in those inner legs, keeping the spine tall. Taking another couple breaths here, making sure you're breathing. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the block. And this time, let's go ahead and windshield wiper the knees a couple times. We're going to come back to the block. And then come back to that center position. This time, we're going to bring the block to its longest side. So the feet will be on the short sides, but the block will be as wide as you can get it. The wider the block, the more intense that inner leg activation is going to be. So just make sure the intensity isn't too much. Sit up nice and tall. You can rest the hands or the forearms on the knees. Really breathing into the inner legs. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, remove the block, and you can put it off to the side now. And then bring the soles of the feet together, and it should feel like you've got a little more flexibility. You can interlace the fingers around the toes, lengthen the spine, and fold in. We'll hang out here for a few breaths. On the next inhale, slowly roll that torso up. And we're going to bring the knees to that 90-90 position. So I'm just going to flip my right knee to come by my left heel. I'm going to bring my hands by my hips. Take an inhale to flip the knees over to the other side. And again, just to the point of sensation, we'll do this a few times. One more time to each side. And once you're evened out, come back to that center position. Bring the soles of the feet together. This time, bring the feet a little further away from you. And then fold in. Relaxing head, neck, and shoulders. On the next inhale, slowly roll that torso up. Scoop the knees together, and then scoop the legs behind you to come through the table position right into down dog. And once you're in down dog, go ahead and pedal the feet. You can alternate the knees coming down towards the mat. Come to a still down dog, checking in, fingers are spread wide. A little bit more weight in that index finger and thumb to take pressure off the wrists. And then we're going to step the left foot about 3 inches in front of the right foot as you put a bend in that right knee. You should feel a fairly intense calf stretch on that left side. You can lift that right heel up or keep that heel coming towards the mat. And then when you feel like your calf is starting to release, put a little more bend in that left knee. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, step that left foot back next to right. Pedal the feet a couple times. And then we'll come back to the same thing, but stepping the right foot forward this time. Putting a bend in that left knee. Controlling the intensity, stepping a little bit back if you need to, if it's too intense. And then when you feel that right calf release, little bend in the right knee. Then release the right foot next to the left, pedal the feet a few times. Coming back to that still down dog. And then slowly come onto your tiptoes, bringing the knees onto the mat, bringing you into a table position. Taking a few breaths here, maybe wagging the tail, bringing the hips towards the shoulders. Neutralizing the spine. And we'll meet back in that neutral position. From here, we're going to come back to the calf stretch, this time on the right side, pushing that right, or extending the right leg, pushing the right heel back. Toes can be on the mat. You want to keep at least a little bit of a bend in that right knee. You can pulse the right heel back if that feels okay. Or you can just find the intensity that you want and gently put firm or consistent pressure on that right heel. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the leg, bringing the hips right over the center of the mat or the left knee. And then turn that left calf off to the left side, bringing that right foot to the inner edge on the mat. Let's sweep the right arm towards the ceiling or maybe over the right ear, finding that stretch on the right side of the body. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to bring that right hand to the right hip. And we're going to lift the right leg up. So now that right leg is parallel to the hip, nice flex in that right foot. And we're going to pulse the right leg up and down. Subtle motion here, just working at your own pace, own intensity. Take one more pulse up and down, coming back to that center position, and then pulse the leg forward and back. You may find that the upper leg is starting to burn a little bit, and that's okay. It's activating the leg, getting ready for things we'll do later. One more pulse forward, one more pulse back, and then go ahead and put a bend in that right knee, grabbing that right foot with the right hand, trying to slide the heart center forward, engaging the abdominals. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release that right leg, coming back to that center table position. Wag the tail a couple times, and then push the hips back to come into child's pose. Taking a few breaths here. On the next inhale, slowly come back to the table position. We'll do that sequence on the left side, extending that left leg out, pushing that left heel back, maybe pulsing that heel. Couple more pulses, or maybe holding that heel behind you. Then bring the hips back over where the knees are and swivel that right leg off to the right side. Extending that left leg out, resting it on the inner left foot. Wave the left arm towards the ceiling or bring it over the left ear. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, bring that left hand onto the left hip and lift the left leg up, putting a strong flex in that left foot, and we'll pulse the left foot up and down. Coming back to a center position with that left leg, and then bring that leg forward and back, making sure the abdominal muscles are engaged, supporting that low spine. Try to keep that left leg about equal to the left hip in height. One more pulse forward, one more pulse back, and then put the bend in that left knee, grabbing that left foot with the left hand. Heart center comes forward, abdominals engaged, coming into that modified half bow. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose, coming back to table, wag the tail a couple times, and then push back into child's pose for just a breath or two here. On the next inhale, slowly look forward, coming back through the table position. This time, curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back to come back to down dog. Pedaling the feet a few times. Coming into a still down dog, checking in, palms pressing into the mat. Maybe having the feet pretty wide to take pressure off the wrists. Making sure head, neck, and shoulders are all relaxed. Inhale to look forward. Step, jump, or walk the feet to the forward fold. Shaking everything out. Take an inhale to come halfway up. Exhale, fold back in. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way overhead. Left hand is going to catch that right wrist to come over to the left side, rooting the feet onto the mat. Inhale to center, and we'll switch sides. Inhale, back to center, bring those palms together, drop the palms over the heart center. On the next inhale, raise the arms overhead. Exhale, palms come back over the heart center. Couple times, inhale, arms up. Exhale, release them down. One more time, arms come up. Exhale, release them over the heart center. Taking another couple breaths here. And from here, we're going to come into a half fold, which we often do. But tonight, we're going to bring the fingers right into the hip creases. From bringing those fingers, then start folding over the fingers to come into that half fold. You can keep the hands on the hips or the fingers in the creases, or you can bring the arms overhead. But we're going to do a few pulses, making sure there's that micro bend in the knees. Just bringing the torso up and down. It can be a really subtle motion. You're kind of sticking your butt out a little bit. And one of the other things about coming into squats is that you need powerful glute muscles. Bring the torso back to a still position. Take an inhale here. And on the exhale, fold in, shaking everything out. And sweep the fingertips side to side, swing the hips side to side. And then come back to that center position. Inhale to come halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to a plank position. Coming through the top of the push-up, we'll meet back in down dog. From down dog, we're going to inhale that right leg up, dropping that right foot over the left hip, rolling the hips open. Inhale to extend the leg out. And on the exhale, we're going to step that right foot through to the hands, gently bringing that left knee onto the mat. So coming into our low lunge, checking in, making sure that right knee is directly over the right ankle, and taking a breath or two here to ease into this. From here, we're going to take that whole right leg and bring it onto the diagonal. You still want the toes in front of the knees, and you can bring the hands to the inner foot. You'll find where they work for you, but we're going to start to pulse that right knee towards the right toes. It can be a subtle motion. If it feels too intense, bring that right leg a little bit more towards center. Next time you pulse forward, hold there. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. Go ahead and bring that right knee next to left. Curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back to come back to down dog. Pedaling the feet a couple times. And from a still down dog, inhale left leg up, dropping left foot over right hip, rolling the hips open. Inhale to extend that leg out. And exhale as you step that left foot through to the hands, gently bringing that right knee onto the mat, taking a few breaths here. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, slowly bring that whole left leg onto the diagonal, checking in left toes are behind or in front of the left knee. And then finding your hand position, starting to pulse that left knee towards the left toes. And you may need to adjust your foot. You don't want any strain or pain here. Just looking for that sensation, a little more range of motion. Few more times. And then hold the knee towards the toes. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose, bringing that left knee back to the next to the right knee. And then curl the toes under, coming back to down dog. Next inhale, step jump or walk the feet forward to come back to the forward fold. Inhale to come halfway up. Scrunch the shoulders towards the ears, tuck the tailbone under as you roll the shoulders or the torso up one vertebra at a time and loop the shoulders back and down. From here, we're going to come into a hip width stance, and we're going to come into a one-legged standing pigeon. So this is really, sometimes it's called temple dancer. It's a one-legged chair pose is another way to think of it. So we'll bring our weight into the right leg, starting to put more give in that right knee, and bring that left ankle on top of the right knee. Start to bring the hips down just to your point of sensation, finding a focal point. You can bring the hands over the heart center. Let's see if you can get a little bit of stretch in that left upper leg. The more you come into a one-legged stance and bring the hips down, the more intense the pose will be. Stay with the breath here. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. Go ahead and pedal the feet out. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, bringing the weight into that left leg, starting to bring that right ankle over left knee, finding your squat, noticing if this side feels differently than the other side. Trying to bring the hips as low as you can without any pain or discomfort. Making sure you've got your focal point, something still to gaze at. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. Go ahead and shake out the legs. And then grab your block again. And I would say to put the block on your highest setting, so the tallest setting that you can. And we're going to come into a stance where the toes are facing away and the heels are facing one another. And then start to bring the block a little bit in front of you and gently pulse the hips back. So you can pulse back and forth. You want to make sure that the entire foot is rooted onto the mat. And again, this can be a really subtle motion. If you find you've got a little more room to go, you can lower the block. That'll make it a little bit more intense. Next time you pulse the hips back, hold there. You should feel a nice igniting of those inner legs, really rooting the feet onto the mat, pressing into it. And then slowly start to put a bend in the knees. You may find that you have to heel toe the feet a little closer together, but we're going to come into a squat. So again, heels are facing each other, toes are facing away. And then bring the hands on top of the knees. See if you can get the torso as tall as possible. From here, we're going to scoop that right arm out to the right side and scoop it back. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Scoop that left arm towards the left side, scoop it back. We'll do that one more time on the right side. And one more time on the left side. Coming back to that center position, slowly straightening the legs. Sweep the arms overhead in that Y shape. Big inhale here. And on the exhale, palms come together. Drop the palms over the heart center. And then go ahead and heel toe the feet back together. And take a breath or two here. On the next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. On the exhale, think about hinging at the hips as you swan dive down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to plank, coming through the transition, maybe through cobra or up dog. We'll meet back in down dog. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale to step that right foot through to the hands. We're going to turn that left foot flat. Inhale, arms up. Warrior one. Hopefully feeling a nice opening in that right inner leg. Pressing that left foot onto the mat. On the exhale, open to warrior two. Gazing over the right hand, pressing both feet into the mat evenly. Inhale to straighten that right leg. Lengthen the torso over that leg to tip into triangle. Drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, put a bend in that right knee, windmill the hands, either side of the right foot, swivel the back toes to track straight, step back to plank, coming through the transition to chaturanga. We'll meet back in down dog. Notice how that right side of the body is feeling. On the next inhale, raise that left leg up. On the exhale, step that left foot through to the hands, turning that right foot flat. Inhale, arms up. Warrior one on this side. And be mindful of the inner legs and just see if they feel any differently this evening after all these stretches than they usually do. Back hip is drawing forward, right hip is drawing, or left hip is drawing back. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, opening to the long side, gazing over the left hand. One more inhale here. One more exhale. On the next inhale, straighten the left leg, lengthen the torso over that leg to tip into triangle. Remembering your options, arms can be in a straight line, or you can drop that right hand onto the right hip. Still drawing that left hip back. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. And on the next inhale, put the bend back in that left knee, windmill the hands, either side of the left foot, swivel the right toes to track straight. This time when we step back to plank, we'll bring the knees to the outside edges of the mat and push the hips back. Coming into a frog's pose. If you want more in frog's pose, you can flip the toes to face the outside edges of the mat. If you want less, bring the knees towards each other. Seeing if you can relax the head, neck, and shoulders. Couple more breaths here. On the next inhale, slowly release the pose, bringing the knees back under the hips. Wag the tail a couple times. And then we're going to come onto our left side, extending the legs out. You can bring that left elbow directly under the left shoulder with the left forearm facing the long side of the mat. From here, step that right foot in front of the left thigh. You can press into the left ankle as you lift the hips up. You can also bring that right arm towards the ceiling, or you can keep the hips on the floor, just trying to get that sensation in the right leg. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. We're going to roll right onto our other side, making sure that right elbow is lined up with the right shoulder. Left foot steps in front of the right thigh. And then finding your pose, maybe pressing into that right ankle, waving that left arm up. Getting into those side muscles, the obliques. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. Slowly roll onto your backs. Using your giant imaginary beach ball, coming down one vertebra at a time. And then once you're down, knees come into the chest. You can rock side to side. You make some small circles on that low spine. Coming back to that center position. And we're going to plant the feet about hip width apart. Bring the arms along our sides to come into a bridge pose. You can use a block between the legs to check your alignment if you'd like, but making sure the low abdominals are engaged as you lift the hips towards the ceiling, resting on those shoulder blades, opening the collarbones up. Relaxing neck, relaxing your head. If you want more here, you can come onto your tiptoes. You can lift the toes up, coming onto your heels. You can interlace the fingers, rocking the shoulders onto themselves, bringing the hands under the tailbone. Whatever works for you. You can also sweep the arms overhead. We'll take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. Knees come back into the chest, hug them in. And then we're going to bring our arms out like cactus arms or out to a T to come into a spinal twist. Keeping the shoulder blades on the mat, tipping those knees over to the right, maybe looking up at the ceiling or over that left shoulder. But finding your twist. Variations on the twist can be extending that top leg out on the diagonal, both legs out on the diagonal, or stepping that left foot towards the right knee with the knee pointing towards the ceiling. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, slowly bring those knees through center and drape them over to the left side. Maybe looking up at the ceiling over that right shoulder, maybe extending that top leg or both legs. Checking in with the breath here. Checking in with the jaw muscle, keeping it soft. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, bring those knees back to center. Wrap the arms around the legs. Take an inhale to bring forehead to knees. And on the exhale, release head, neck, and shoulders. We'll come right into happy baby. Bringing the knees wide, grabbing ankles, arches, big toes, maybe rocking side to side. Getting that nice groin stretch. Couple more breaths here. And then When you're ready, extend the legs towards the ceiling, interlacing the hands behind the legs, and point and flex the feet a few times. Rotate the ankles in one direction, rotate them in the other direction. Bringing the feet back to stillness. Sweep the arms overhead, either with the elbows bent or in that Y shape. Taking a breath or two here. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, hug the knees in one last time. We're coming into final relaxation. So if you'd like to grab an extra layer, grab a pillow, whatever you'd like, and then release the feet to find the corners of the mat. Arms come along your sides. Integrating everything we've done. Coming back to the breath and taking rest. Slowly start to bring some movement back into your bodies. Gently rolling your head side to side. Wiggling fingers and toes. Rotating wrists and ankles. And sweep your arms overhead to take a full body wake up stretch from the tips of the fingers all the way through the toes. And roll onto your favorite side. Make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Eyes can be closed, gaze can be down. And sweep the arms overhead. Big inhale here. Exhale, bringing those palms over the heart center. Taking a few more deep cleansing breaths here. Revisiting what your intention was. And taking a few more breaths to think about how you can bring more contentment into your life. And I thank you for sharing this practice with each other and with me this evening. And may the light in me honor the light in each of you. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.